Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Mohamad Mukmin bin Faharul Azman. My metric number is 182171. My supervisor's name is Dr. Muhammad Zahir Asri bin Muhammad Tohir. Today I'm gonna present about my FYP entitled Parametric Study of Carbon Monoxide Emission from Burning of Peat Soil in Laboratory Setting. There is a few keywords that we can study in this project. The first one is parametric study. The parameter touched in this experiment is the moisture content of peat soil, density of peat soil, heat flux applied to the peat soil, and the carbon monoxide emission is the objective of the experiment, that is to study the composition or the yield. And the peat soil is the sample used in this experiment. Laboratory setting mean that usually have a small amount of sample. In this experiment, it's about 400 grams. The problem statement that we can study is the carbon monoxide release. Carbon monoxide release enormously when an incomplete combustion happens. And the effect of the carbon monoxide to the human is the CO will reduce the amount of oxygen carried in the red blood cell. And we have to verify the parameter that can affect the yield of carbon monoxide from burning of peat soil. Before conducting this experiment, a few literature review has been made. The first literature review is about the forest fire happened outside of Malaysia. The case that we have been concentrated was the Indonesia forest fire in 1997. And the second literature review is about the peat soil. Peat soil is used as agricultural and planting purposes. And the third literature is about the fire triangle, that is the fuel, ignition, and the oxygen. The objective of the experiment is to analyze the carbon monoxide emission from burning of peat soil and to study the effect of varying a parameter to the yield of carbon monoxide, and to analyze the trend of carbon monoxide release from burning of peat soil by varying the moisture content and the density of peat soil in the laboratory scale. The methodology of the experiment has been divided into three compartments. The first compartment is the moisture content compartment. The second compartment is the density compartment. And the third one is the heat flux compartment. All of this methodology has ended up with discussion and conclusion. Figure left shows the experimental setup that has been used for the experiment using the retort stand, metal funnel, heating coil, and the metal container. And the right figure is showing the furnace that has been used to manipulate the moisture content of the sample. For the data analysis, the data has been extracted into Microsoft Excel to plot a line graph, but the data does not stable to each other as the initial is different. So, a normalized unit has been introduced to plot a fair line graph. And two region has been introduced, there is region 1 and region 2, to differentiate between the high intensity smoldering fire and the low intensity smoldering fire. The trend of the data is identified by determining the function fit to the line graph and verify the value of R square. From the first parameter, there is the moisture content. That is the result of the first parameter that has been conducted. Table 1 shows the moisture content of the 106 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. The second table showing the moisture content of the 156 degrees Celsius that has been heat for 1 hour. And the table 3 shows the moisture content of 206 degrees Celsius of sample burn. From figure 1, we can see that trial 1 is slightly different from the other two trials. One of the possible reasons of the difference is because trial 1 is the first sample that has been introduced to the heat. The heating coil is adjusting to the suitable heat, leading to slightly different the rate of burning and the reading of CO in ppm. From figure 2, we can see that the yield of the carbon monoxide from the burning of 63.37 of moisture content is close to one another and can be assumed as the same since the difference is really small. The tree trial has shown a good consistency in terms of CO release over time. Figure 3 shows the 57.74% of motor constant versus time. From the figure, we can see that the trend of the first trial is slightly different from the other two is because the heating coil is still adjusting to the heat, leading to a different burning rate and result in a different carbon monoxide reading. Figure 4 shows the average moisture content versus time. From figure 4, it is proven that the sample with the lowest moisture content will exhibit the most carbon monoxide yield in ppm. Theoretically, samples with the least carbon monoxide will exhibit most yield of carbon monoxide because the fire will have to dry the water in the sample first. So, the least moisture content will exhibit the most carbon monoxide release. Figure 5 shows the average moisture content in normalized unit versus time, while Table 4 shows the equation and the R-square value of the moisture content parameter. From the table, we can see that region 1 shows an exponential function for all the trial, while region 2 shows power function for all the trial. We can see the R-squared value in the table shown. Proceed to the density parameter. From the data analysis used in the Microsoft Excel line graph, we can see that the first trial produced the most carbon monoxide in normalized unit than the second and the third trial. Figure 7 shows the graph of 1.14 gram over centimeter cube sample versus time. From the line graph, we can see that all the trial shows a consistent reading from the initial until the final. For the less density of 0.88 gram over cm cube sample versus time, we can see that the third trial initially has the least carbon monoxide yield and lastly exhibit the other two in the final reading. Figure 8 shows the average density sample versus time in second. We can see that the most dense sample of 1.6 gram over cm cube has the highest reading of carbon monoxide. From this, we can conclude that the denser the sample, the more the carbon monoxide produced. Figure 9 shows the average density in normalized unit sample versus time, while Table 5 shows the equation and the R-squared value of the region 1 and region 2. From region 1, we can see that all the density shows in power function, while region 2 shows that the function is in the exponential function. Figure 8 shows the heat flux versus time in second. From the line graph, we can see that samples that have undergone 70 kilowatt heat flux shows the most carbon monoxide, while samples that have undergone 50 kilowatt of heat flux has shown the least carbon monoxide yield. For the conclusion, every parameter that has been tested can affect the yield of carbon monoxide emission from burning of peat soil. Moisture content affect the yield by the higher the water content, the least the carbon monoxide emission. Density affect by the denser the sample, the more the carbon monoxide produced, and the heat flux is affected by the higher the power of heat flux applied, the more the carbon monoxide produced. From the data analysis, moisture content data shows the region 1 fits exponential function and region 2 fits power function. In the density analysis, it is observed that region 1 fits power function and region 2 fits exponential function. That's all. Thank you.